Alright, what is up, everybody? It's your boy, Croissant. Today I'm going to be talking about games that got canceled so far in 2025. Now, we will never be able to play these canceled games for a multitude of reasons, right? Whether it's layoffs, refocusing the team, or conflicting ideas internally, it's always sad to see a game die, and in some cases, a studio die. So today we're going to get into everything that was canceled so far in 2025. Let's do it. Let's get into the video. First off, guys, we're talking about Perfect Dark. Now, Perfect Dark is one of two games that recently got canceled in the wave of 9,000 Xbox employees that got laid off, right? But Perfect Dark first debuted on the N64 back in 2000. Now, this was developed by Rare, right? So those are the guys that made Banjo-Kazooie. Now, the Initiative is the new developers that were in charge of the reboot of Perfect Dark that was coming out. Now, on July 2nd, 2025, Microsoft announced, obviously, those 9,000 layoffs, including roles at Xbox, and as part of the cuts, Xbox canceled Perfect Dark, obviously the reboot, and closed the developer, the Initiative, entirely. Now, this game was also going to be co-developed by Tomb Raider studio Crystal Dynamics. Now, I've never played the original, but based on the trailer for Perfect Dark, it seems like a Watch Dogs type of game set in like a sci-fi universe where you're sneaking around, you're hacking technology, and you're exploring a futuristic world with some pretty cool parkour mechanics, I'd say. And looking at the footage, the game does look good graphically, and it's a shame it got canceled, but it seems that this game could have been near the finished product, but we'll never know again. The reboot was the studio's first and only project. And next, we're going to be talking about Everwild. Again, another victim of the 9,000 Xbox employees that got laid off on July 2nd. Everwild was said to be the first new game from story developer Rare since its 2018 live service pirate game, Sea of Thieves. Now, Rare announced Everwild in November of 2019, and the game was reportedly a third-person adventure set in a natural and magical world. Though the official details were never revealed, right? And based on the footage in the trailer, guys, it just seems like a cozy game set in a colorful world, unique animals that inhabit that world, and the main characters, you're going to need to interact with those animals to uncover some sort of truth that they're looking for, some secrets of the world that they're holding. And following the cancellation, it was reported that the 35-year veteran of Rare, Greg Mails, he said he'd be leaving the studio. Among his many accomplishments, Mails directed the N64 classic Banjo-Kazooie and served as creative director on Sea of Thieves, and he was overseeing development of Everwild prior to its cancellation. Next, guys, we're talking about Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Now, Square Enix canceled Kingdom Hearts Missing Link on May 14th of this year, 2025. The planned mobile game was said to be an action RPG that told a brand new Kingdom Hearts story and would utilize Pokemon Go-like GPS mechanics. When you read that statement, when you read that sentence, it kind of just sounds like it does not work. And when you look at the footage, you can kind of see why this game was canceled. It just seems all over the place. Like they're trying to be too many different things. And in a statement from Square Enix, Missing Link was canceled once it was determined that it would be difficult to offer a service that players would find satisfactory over a long period of time. Yeah. You guys can look at the footage that I'll put in the background, but it just seems like their vision is not as focused as they initially thought it was going to be. And Kingdom Hearts Missing Link was announced alongside Kingdom Hearts 4 in April 2022. As part of the cancellation announcement, Square assured fans development of the next mainline Kingdom Hearts is ongoing, so they're not slowing down Kingdom Hearts 4. And as a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, guys, I'm so happy to hear this news. I played a little bit of the older Kingdom Hearts mobile game, and it just was not fun. The only reason I played it was because it apparently held some canon lore, and I wanted to experience that because I do love the Kingdom Hearts lore as much as I can understand, because it is pretty confusing. But Square Enix needs to stick to what they're good at, and that's the mainline Kingdom Hearts games. Next, guys, we're talking about Wonder Woman. February 2025, it was announced the Wonder Woman game was canceled and the developers, Monolith Productions, would be shut down. Now, Wonder Woman would have been the studio's follow up to its acclaimed Middle Earth series, which I played. I freaking love those games. And it was expected to utilize this patented Nemesis system. Honestly, one of the best systems in gaming, now reduced to ashes and dust because the studio is gone and Warner Brothers owned the patenting for the Nemesis system, and it's such a shame because so many video games could go from a B plus to an A plus by utilizing this system. And the decision came from parent company publisher Warner Bros. Amidst a corporate restructuring. In a statement, a Warner Bros. Spokesperson said, "Our hope was to give players and fans the highest quality experience possible for the iconic character. And unfortunately, this is just no longer possible within our strategic priorities." And I understand that. I get that. You want to stay as focused as possible and you don't want to offer a product that is not going to meet your expectations. And then following Wonder Woman's cancellation, comic writer Gail Simone, who worked on the project, said the now canceled game was quote unquote gorgeous and expansive. Right? Then they added that Monolith made sure it had, Wonder Woman and DC lore on every aspect of the game. And I'm sure, because that's really how you sell a superhero game, is you feed into the interest of the true fans, people who are going to play the game, and not to pander to an audience that has nothing to do with the industry, with the game, or have any interest in picking up the game. Next, we're talking about the live service PlayStation games. This is interesting. On January 16, 2025, Bloomberg reported Sony had canceled 2 unannounced PlayStation games. One was a live service project in development with Bend Studio, the makers of Days Gone. And then the second, this is interesting, a live service God of War game in development at Blue Point Studios, the Demon's Souls remake studio. Now, I really was interested because I played a little bit of God of War 3 multiplayer and I thought it was good for us for, a certain amount of time. But a live service God of War game, I really wonder how that would have played out. I never played Days Gone, so I can't really speak to that. Anyway, Sony confirmed in a separate statement that despite the cancellations, neither Bend Studio nor Blue Point Games would be shut down, which is an amazing plus because Days Gone was, received really well. Demon's Souls remake received really well. Now they're focusing on their next projects, regardless of not being shut down, which is nice. They're just parting ways and working on their next projects. Reasons for the cancellation were not made public, but we can assume, guys, PlayStation is quite cautious about any live service games they're making. Following that massive blunder that was Concord, they're walking on eggshells when it comes to anything that they produce that has the words live service on it. Okay. Next, we're talking about Earthblade, the successor to Celeste. Now, on January 22nd, 2025, Extremely OK Games announced that it had canceled Earthblade, a 2D platformer meant to be a follow-up to its celebrated platformer, Celeste. Now, the news of the game's cancellation came 3 years after Earthblade was revealed at the 2022 Game Awards. The decision to cancel Earthblade was made in December 2024, following a disagreement between members of the studio and a former art director over the IP rights of Celeste. And in the aftermath of the dispute, the team evaluated the state of Earthblade and decided it wasn't, quote-unquote, as far along as one would expect after such a protracted development process. Now, I was never a fan of Celeste, but based on the footage, it really looks like the classic platformer in a big, boring green world. I'm sorry. I know it was canceled, and I know that footage is very old, and it could have been in development, and could have been just that world, but to me, it just didn't have enough to keep my focus. And so we'll never play that game. We'll never get to play that game. Next and last but not least, we're talking about Black Panther, guys. Now, I made a video about this when it happened initially. The cancellation of the Black Panther game was announced on May 28th, 2025, and that came alongside the closure of the studio Cliffhanger Games. Now, it was said that EA wanted to quote unquote sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. Now, Black Panther was announced in July 2023 and was in development as part of EA's multi-game deal with Marvel, guys. So EA said Black Panther's cancellation has not affected the structure of this deal, and they're still going to develop at least 3 Marvel games, beginning with the EA Motives Iron Man. Let's see how this goes. I don't see how making an Iron Man game right on the coattails of making a failed Black Panther game is going to sell very well. But again, we'll have to wait for footage, news, gameplay, something like that for this Iron Man game to make any judgment calls. But it does not look good based on prior experience. Now, some of these games I wish we could have played, but when you think about it, they got canceled for a reason, and the final product might not have turned out how they expected. And maybe we all got saved from mediocrity, And a part of me is sad because games that are bad make for good content. And I love talking about them. And I'm sure these aren't the last of the cancellations for games we're looking forward to. We can only try to focus on the good games that are coming out, right? But it is sad to see some of these games and studios get canceled and closed. Anyways, let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. Were you looking forward to one of these canceled games? What fast food place has the best spicy chicken sandwich? Guys, I gotta know, because right now I'm really into Chick-fil-A, but I remember in college I was really into Popeyes because their spicy chicken sandwich was banging. But let me know what you're hitting right now. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.